Folks, the podcast is not dead. I'm still here. The coronavirus has not gotten to me. I'm immune. No, that's not true. I don't know if I'm immune to the coronavirus or not. The virus is not real anyways, folks. So what does it matter? Podcast is still going, guys. We've been off for a week, guys. I apologize for any of you that were expecting this podcast to come on during this whole pandemic, as it's being said. But we're back. Episode 58, Speaking Wrestling with Elvis Arroyo, guys. Get in touch with this podcast over on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle, Instagram at Speaking Wrestling, email at speakingwrestling@gmail.com, guys. And I want to know, did it ever occur to anybody, that about 2 months after this whole pandemic has gone on and WWE's moved into the Performance Center and empty arena shows of, taking over professional wrestling, did it ever occur to anybody 2 months into this that adding fans to the WWE shows are going to make the shows any better? Because I don't think it makes any difference whether you add superstars out there or whether you have fans as an audience. It's still not going to make a difference because the product in their show, in the in-ring talent, hasn't been that great. It really hasn't. And to be quite honest, guys, I am coming up on nearly 7 years of not missing a Monday Night Raw. I still haven't watched Raw this week. Last week, I went 4 days past Raw, almost Thursday, without watching it and really not giving a fuck whether I missed it or not because the shows have not been that great. And, WWE is very well known for continuing on with business. It's business as usual, and the show must go on, regardless of a death inside the ring or regardless of anything going on in the world. The show must go on. Except in this situation, you would think that WWE would tend to adapt to the circumstances. There's going to be no audience. They're going to be in a small facility like the Performance Center, that they would have to adapt, maybe tweak the shows just a little bit, the production, the writing. But they haven't. It's business as usual. And you can respect the company for going on with their business as they are. And I respect that about WWE. But at some point, you got to question, can the shows be a little bit more better than this? I mean, can the presentation be a lot better than this? And I always challenge that it can. I mean, Raw ratings have been plummeting in the last few weeks. And I got to say, with nothing else on television, and you're flipping through the channels, you're looking for a new source of entertainment, there hasn't been much live sports in the past recent months. So what else is there to watch that's new? It's maybe refreshing, and it's live. And you get the best of both worlds, entertainment, and you get that sports feel from it. Some would say, gee, Elvis, wrestling sounds like the perfect combination for anybody that's looking for sports and entertainment. Yes, I agree. Wrestling is that outlet that right now AEW and WWE should be just cashing in on how much views they should be getting from an audience that's looking for something to watch. But the bottom line is that they're not. They're finding something else. And of course, we live in the age where there's multiple ways of getting entertainment, ways of getting different types of sources, whether you're into audio, you're into podcasting, you're into books, you're into shows, movies, anything. You're on-demand stuff. It's all there for you. We're living in this age where everything is right there at the tip of your fingertips, literally, with our phones. But the folks aren't tuning in to the shows. And again, you got to question, what is it that they're doing? I mean, could these shows have been any better? I would have thought that from the very beginning that WWE would have thought this would be a really good time to restructure the way we present our shows, the way we present superstars, debuts, maybe repackage some people. But again, like I said, you got to respect the company for continuing on with their business the way they should. And of course, they've given us some, good stuff. I mean, and I'm not going to say that, some good things haven't risen from this pandemic and them going into the Performance Center. We got Apollo Crews, the new United States champion, this past Monday night on Raw. We also seen other talent getting opportunities. Asuka is really, for a superstar that we all thought was getting buried after her major push in NXT and in her debut in the main roster. Asuka was being pushed way to the side. Now she's the champion. We've been getting a lot more Drew Gulak over on SmackDown. That's really good stuff there. The opportunity is there for those that haven't gotten it. And, of course, with talent, less talent there. We're missing Roman Reigns right now. We're missing Becky Lynch, which I'll get to in just a second. I want to get into Becky Lynch story in just a few. But I really want to question, did bringing in fans, which is just NXT superstars, still training in the performance center as the audience, does it make the show any better? Because I quite frankly don't feel that it has or that it will. I think fans is what we need. In a time where we're not getting actual fans, we should not use any talent as fans, because with AEW's approach, and look, I understand. Some on Twitter are going to say that the fans out there as talent is good for the shows. It makes the shows a lot better. It's not quiet. It's not awkward. Yeah, there's a little bit of a positive to that. But with AEW's approach is they're using their talent as fans, which then makes their talent at the same level as the fans. And, I mean, can you imagine WWE superstars, top talent out there, being fans, just marking out for the boys and for the girls, the women? I get killed these days if I say, for the girls, and we know what we're talking about. I mean, nobody says a goddamn thing when people say, oh, I'm doing it for the boys. No one says, like, hey, you can't use that term. But when we say girls, it's like, hey, and it's usually, sissy men that are male feminists coming out the woodworks for that one, and women just really don't give a fuck, because they know what you're talking about. Bottom line is that it just doesn't work. Now, another thing that is not working on Monday Night Raw that it's kind of kept me away from watching Raw, and it's Kevin Owens. And I know if you've been listening to the show this past year, since this existence of Speaking Wrestling, we've been on the air for a year now, folks. It seems like I hammer on a lot on Kevin Owens. And a lot has to do with the fact that his presentation, since he's come back, as we all thought to believe, was going to be the resurrection of Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, he's gone down to using the stunner, which I just don't agree with that. Kevin Owens' presentation is still a little bit confusing. I mean, this guy comes out wearing a shirt that says the word fight on it, but yet, he restrains himself from being inside the ring because there's a fight about to go down. So, not so much of a tough guy there. As much as he's being presented as this prize fighter, this killing machine, this tough guy, he really comes off as the average dad. I mean, it is who he is in real life. And in wrestling, it's been said that, the best characters are those that are just their real selves just turned up to 11. And Kevin Owens, this might be Kevin Owens turned up to 11, which might think this might be a better time for us to change the Kevin Owens character into this, male feminist, social justice warrior dad, because that's truly who he is. He's this social butterfly, especially with the Kevin Owens show. It's a talking show, so why not call it the social butterfly? Because it's exactly what he is. I mean, if we're in the wintertime, this definitely would be, the social snowflake or something. Well, you guys get what I'm saying. I've lost all believability. What is the word? All believability in Kevin Owens. My faith in the character has totally gone out the door with this guy, especially, who he's been coming back. I mean, this would have been a great opportunity to repackage Kevin Owens. Not like he hasn't been repackaged, 3 times in the past year. Coming out, we thought he was going to be the dad wrestler, comes back and he's Vince McMahon's henchman. Then he's back to being Kevin Owens, and then he's back to being heel Kevin Owens when he turns on the New Day, and then he's back to being good Kevin Owens because he's taking out Shane McMahon, and then now he's back on Raw. And it just, I mean, what the fuck is this guy's character? Seriously, what are we doing with Kevin Owens? Especially since he's all over the goddamn shows now. I mean, seriously, I wish this guy would have just been out much longer. Then that way, he maybe would have thought of something else. And that also brings me to another thing. I mean, this is a guy who who busted Vince McMahon open on an episode of SmackDown. And again, the reason why I bring this up is Vince at this point in his career, at this point in his life, he doesn't work for everybody. And he's definitely not going to take a bump or less fucking bleed on TV, which is one of his, his big things you don't do. He bled on TV for a guy. He's putting him over. He's believing that much in Kevin Owens. I mean, at this point, Kevin Owens with that much stroke, he's liked by the office. You know what I mean? They like him a lot, enough that they're giving him his own show. They feature him on TV. They feature him in a big spot at WrestleMania with Seth Rollins. They got the most time. I think it's the second longest match on the show. And I gotta say, guys, some of the blame has got to go on Kevin. A lot of the blame sometimes always goes to the writing, and it would seem like, I think you're just mad about the writing. They're not presenting Kevin Owens the way he should be. Yeah, he is a prize fighter. He is this killing machine, you know what I mean? But they're making him into this goofy, kind of lame dad character every week on TV. It's just the writing, Elvis. It's just the writing. It's just Vince. Well, you know what? Kevin Owens at this point, being Universal Champion, being, being pretty much a henchman for Vince, and being a henchman for the company at this point, it's up to him to also speak up on behalf of his character and what he wants. And the fact that this guy just defeated Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, Seth Rollins gets a title shot the next pay-per-view against Drew McIntyre. Kevin Owens comes back, and he's not even one goddamn bit concerned about the fact that he defeated Seth Rollins, and he should have been next in line for a championship spot against Drew McIntyre. And I get it, but they're two faces, and you can't have two faces go on one with each other. Well, if Kevin Owens, he's kind of like this transparent character where he's not so much far onto the bad guy and the good guy. He could be whatever he wants. He's like a chameleon. Bottom line is, Kevin Owens should be going after the WWE Championship or going after, that top spot, but he's not. He's back being funny, goofy dad Kevin Owens, hosting the Kevin Owens show, trying to be funny as fuck, but he's not. It's not good. And I just don't understand what they're doing with Kevin Owens, and I just don't understand what Kevin Owens is doing with his career. I mean, come on, dude. Seriously. They're killing everybody with this pandemic thing, and it would have been a great opportunity, to repackage people. I mean, these weekly battles with the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders are just terrible. Terrible. Anybody that thinks that this shit is entertaining, you're out of your fucking mind. This is garbage. Another team, Viking Raiders, I have just lost all my faith in them. Because they're these strong, fearless Vikings, but then they're doing karaoke carpool. They're fucking doing Harlem Globetrotter basketball one week. They're doing, axe throwing, and it's a fucking joke the whole time. This is ridiculous. Who the fuck is writing this shit? You know what I mean? Look, don't get me wrong. It sounds like I'm hammering all out on WWE, and I'm about to flip the table. But first things first, let's talk about Becky Lynch, because this is another thing that's flying under the radar, and which is what I think WWE just does a terrible job of missing out, things to point out. There's something huge that I think WWE is missing the boat on not doing, and that is Becky Lynch, who's going away, becoming a mother. Congratulations to her and Rollins. Big news for her and her career. But Becky Lynch, they harping a lot on last year's Triple Threat main event at WrestleMania, the first ever female to close out the show, Charlotte, Ronda, Becky. Kudos to them. Good job. And WWE loves to hammer that in. They show replay of WrestleMania 36 every goddamn fucking week, to the point that I just don't want to watch that show ever again. It wasn't that much of a great of a show anyways to begin with. But the bottom line is that Becky Lynch actually accomplished something that I don't believe has been accomplished in this modern era. And it's something that is just flying under the radar of WWE. And they like to hammer on things that, our big headline news or something they can hang their head on and be proud of, like, look at what we did, or we did history, or you know what I mean, something they can tout about. And they're not touting about this. And this is why I just feel like WWE, the people that write, the people production, the marketing team, the PR team, they just aren't paying attention to the fucking wrestling or the show. They're just so concerned about fucking TV. And I get it. It's a television program. Yes. But it's also professional wrestling. There's people, men and women, breaking their fucking backs out in the indies or out all over the world, learning their craft, thinking that and hoping that one day they're going to get to WWE to fulfill their dreams because they're big fans of the great ones like Ric Flair, The Rock, Kurt Angle, Stone Cold, Chris Jericho, The Undertaker, guys like that. You know, and the females, Trish Stratus, Lita, Chyna, you know, Sasha, Charlotte, all of them. But you know, in a way, you're making them not want to go there when you fucking miss stuff like this. Becky Lynch, in modern time, was the Raw Women's Champion for 1 year. One full calendar year, guys, went by, and she was the champion, and there was no mention of that. There was no mention that she went calendar year to calendar year, WrestleMania to WrestleMania, 365 days, over 365 days, as the Raw Women's Champion, and there is not one goddamn mention. I mean, they mentioned CM Punk's title reign, and that was one of the biggest, you know, title reigns in the modern era. And of course, AJ Styles had the title last a year to year. Brock Lesnar just did it this past year actually, winning it last year at WrestleMania, and then losing it this year to Drew McIntyre. Becky Lynch has done the same thing, and there is no mention of that. And I just think WWE is once again in their heads, and they're missing an opportunity to tout about a big accomplishment to Becky Lynch. And also the fact is, Becky Lynch wasn't defeated by anybody. She wasn't tapped out. She wasn't pinned. She wasn't knocked out by anybody to lose that championship. She didn't even lose it. She had to relinquish it to motherhood. So again, WWE missing the boat on what could be a great headline for them, and especially for women. I mean, the fact that a woman held on to a championship for over a year. All right, guys, and what you guys are probably here for, as you saw what the title is on the podcast, AEW Double or Nothing, my take on the show, guys. It was not a good one, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. This was not a good show. I really wish I can get my time back watching this. You know, I was a little bit in and out of this show. It wasn't good, okay? There was a lot of missed opportunities on this show, especially with that opening 10-man, you know, one-woman ladder match out there. So many goddamn interferences in this match. And there was a major debut in this one. Brian Cage making his AEW debut. And what a way to make a debut and get buried. Now, it comes out the winner of this Casino Royale ladder match. It didn't make any sense from the very beginning, but Brian Cage is your winner, makes him the #1 contender for Moxley. I don't know. I really fucking wasn't paying attention to this crap. Second match of the night, guys. It was Jungle Boy, MJF. Look, you've seen an MJF match. You've seen him all. This match wasn't that great. MJF wins. What do we got? TNT Championship? Really? We got a title named after a fucking network? I mean, can you imagine there's the USA Network Championship? Oh my God, I literally just thought about this. Because the United States Championship is on Monday Night Raw, please, for the goddamn love of fucking professional wrestling, do not get any ideas, or anybody in USA get any ideas of, hey, AEW's got a TNT Championship, why don't we? And then they call up Vince and say, hey, Vince, I think we'd like to make that US Championship into the USA Championship. And then Vince is going to be like, I like it. It's never been done before. And then 2 weeks fucking later, we have a fucking USA Network Championship, which used to be the United States Championship. And, you know, that may very well happen. You know, I've been saying for years now to myself, obviously this podcast hasn't been around for years, just a year now. I've been saying for years to myself, The United States Championship needs a new look. I mean, it really does. Every other title has gotten a new look, but the United States Championship is still the same title from the Ruthless Aggression era. I mean, every other title has gotten a new look, and that's the only one that needs a redo. Why is it the last one? Well, god damn it, guys. Get it ready, because the USA Network Championship is fucking coming. You heard it here first, right here and right now. On Speaking Wrestling, guys, from yours truly, Elvis Arroyo. Anyways, so TNT Championship, they got Mike Tyson coming out for this. I mean, look, Mike Tyson is a legend. He's a legend in the sports world, legend in the boxing world, no question. And he's a legend in professional wrestling for his time in WWE. And look, Mike is WWE Hall of Famer, and obviously he's well known for being in professional wrestling for what he did over about 22 years ago, WrestleMania 14, helping Austin and the Attitude Era get going right there. And you know what I mean? Like, having Tyson come out here is 22 years later or so. It's a little bit too late, right? I mean, were they expecting the whole world to tune into AEW? Because for the last week, they just mentioned that Mike Tyson was going to be there just to present a fucking title that looks like shit. And by the way, this championship looks a lot like the Universal Championship, the Raw Tag Team Championships, North American Championship. I mean, at this point, the red strap has become the new thing in wrestling. And it's back to the monkey see, monkey do old trade, the trend where you see somebody else doing it. So, that means we got to do it too. And, I just remember that the entire wrestling community shitted on the fact, and still shits on the fact, that the Universal Championship, when it was red, was the most horrendous looking championship ever in the history of the business because of the red strap. But after that, you've got fucking all these other companies coming out with red straps. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. And this is the same fucking community that expects their voices to be fucking heard when yet they don't even know what the fuck is coming out of their goddamn fucking mouth. This title looked horrendous, and of course it was a Cody Rhodes match, which I just don't always give a fuck. And then you throw in there this dumbass motherfucker, the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer, who everybody's been praising that this is the AEW's biggest signing. He's been in Japan for all these years, tearing it up, and here he is, and he's gonna turn things upside down in AEW, and he's this big badass monster. He's got Jake the Snakes Roberts with him, and this guy's the future of the business. This guy is absolutely the worst fucking thing I've ever seen in WWE, and anywhere, in any promotion. This guy is fucking terrible. He's a fucking cheeseball, cornball. This guy is an idiot. This guy is like quintessential, you know what I mean, of cheesy wrestler. I mean, this guy is just so corny as fuck. It's terrible. This is exactly what it looks like when you create somebody. Everybody on AEW, pretty much everybody in AEW, looks like they've created themselves on WWE 2K and said, oh, look, I'm going to be a wrestler. I just don't believe this guy for how big and strong and menacing he's supposed to be. I just don't believe him because he's just playing every typical big monster guy that you see at a fucking wrestling show in a fucking bar or in some fucking bingo hall. He's the quintessential indie big guy monster with the most corniest fucking tattoos ever. This guy's just terrible. I just don't see how Lance Archer is a hit in AEW. I just don't. I never have and never will. He obviously spent 11 years in Japan hiding because he couldn't make it in the States. This match was horrible. There was another women's match, Statlander against Penelope Ford. I literally walked away from this match. So I heard Statlander won. Whoop-de fucking do. What does that fucking mean? By the way, I skipped over the ladder match on a few things. There's some takeaways that I gotta say are pretty good. I really like Jimmy Havoc. Jimmy Havoc is one of these characters that I was really excited for him getting an opportunity in AEW. Especially because he's been around the indies for a while, and this guy is just a fucking maniac. I mean, if you watch any of his fucking hardcore matches, death matches, whatever the fuck you want to call them, they have a name for something else. Whatever the theme is, they're fucking amazing. They're entertaining. They're a car wreck. They're a mess. I mean, look, I like wrestling, but every once in a while, I like a little bit of a fucking mess. And Jimmy Havoc is a perfect mess for anybody out there that likes a fucking mess. But, I like his new ring attire. If he sticks to this, I like the white pantsuits with blood all over it, and the black dress shirt with a tie. I mean, I really like it. I mean, he went from looking from like someone who shopped at Hot Topic to this serial killer that if you saw on the street, you think he's kind of like this creepy, perverted guy that if you don't want to get too close, and he talks really low, almost like just he kind of looks like this, a coworker that you don't know what the fuck he does when he goes home and shit like that. So I really like that. Really mysterious. Get away from just wearing all black, looking like you're just some fucking background in a fucking Marilyn Manson video. Get away from that goofy goth look. It's overplayed. It's overplayed by every indie wrestler. Every indie wrestler that's out there doing a little bit of a goth thing. It's all the same. All the women look the same. Everybody's just trying to fucking be Daphne. Everybody's just trying to fucking be Bray Wyatt now. Everyone's trying to be fucking Jeff Hardy at some point. It's not working out. So, but I gotta say, with this new look, little tweak of the character, you got a whole new guy in Jimmy Havoc. So kudos to him. If it sticks that way. Women's match. This was who was it? Nyla Rose and Kushida, whatever. Anyways, Kushida wins. I did not watch this fucking match, but I heard it in the background. And let's get into Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Championship against Brody Lee. Two ex-WWE guys. You would think that this would be a good match because these guys know how to work. It wasn't. This match was just fucking boring as fuck. What has happened to Moxley? Seriously. That's all I gotta say. Let's get on to the match that you all want to hear me talk about. You all came here to hear me talk. Stadium Stampede. The Elite with Matt Hardy against the Inner Circle. I just said a while ago that every once in a while, I like a little bit of a mess. I like a little bit of a car wreck. This was not that. This was an abomination of the fucking professional wrestling industry. I mean, this is just entertaining. Sure. But what does this do for wrestling, man? This match was just terrible. It wasn't even a match. This was just fucking shit on camera. It really was. It exposed the business so much, I don't know. This is just a big slap in the face to, the major leagues of professional wrestling when you want to present yourself to a major audience. A major audience out there that already believes in the stigma of pro wrestling, that it's fake, it's goofy, it's bullshit, it's not real, those aren't real athletes. You shouldn't give a fuck about it because it's just fucking, it's a show, it's crap. This gives all those people every fucking reason to say that. And it gives, no reason for any fucking wrestling fan to defend it. Or to go after anybody that were to ever say, oh, wrestling's just fucking stupid. Oh, wrestling? Yeah, you mean that fake stuff? I mean, when someone says that, it makes me always think, or a question them, like, okay, what's fake about it? And most people's answer are just going to be like, oh, it's just fake, they know who's going to win. Oh, so you mean just predetermined. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, if just being predetermined is fake, and they don't classify as legit athletes or legit entertainers, then shouldn't we be fucking saying that about fucking the Kardashians, about any fucking buddy else in the fucking entertainment business these days? Yeah, exactly. But nobody does. But wrestling automatically just gets that fucking mark on them. Mark. By the fucking marks, too. This is the marks doing this to the business. I mean, literally. Look, there's two sides to it. There's people that are going to think that this is the fucking greatest thing that's ever been done ever in the history of professional wrestling. And then there's the people that absolutely find this to be, an embarrassment to wrestling, to the business. So it's hard to defend and it's hard to argue. But it's easy to have a fucking opinion about it, and my opinion about it was that this was a fucking goddamn mess. Now, there's a few things that during this match that I actually liked. There's a few things that I like. I like Sammy Guevara. I gotta say, look, this kid is fucking full of talent. For him taking most of the fucking bumps, most of the heat, made look like a fool most of the time, he does a really good job at fucking doing his job. So kudos to him. But Adam Page, there was a point during this fucking thing. He comes out with a horse, chases Sammy away, and then he's fucking maneuvering the horse in the backstage area of the stadium. By the way, this is done at the Jacksonville Jaguars football stadium. They had a ring set up in the middle of the 50-yard line. This was a goddamn fucking shit show, by the way, folks. And another thing is, I think a lot of people's presumption of AEW was that, one day they're probably going to host one of their big giant pay-per-views inside that stadium. That being because the Khan family owns the Jacksonville Jaguars and they own the fucking stadium. That, if they wanted to have a stadium show at an NFL stadium, they can do that too. They could easily do that. They could fill it up and have this big presentation. But goddamn, who the fuck ever would have thought that the first time that they were going to make usage out of this fucking goddamn fucking giant stadium was to hold a fucking goddamn shit match like this? They blew their fucking load before it ever fucking was loaded. Which is the case for most of the people that watch this fucking bullshit. I mean, this was crap. But back to Page. He disappeared for the majority of, the first half of this match. Just from fucking riding the horse and drifting away. He was gone. And there was a point where you're just like, okay, was that the only thing that he's going to do? Is he injured? Is he not going to take part in this? Then we go into this bar scene with him and Jake Hager. Again, Jack Swagger, Jake Hager, Jack Hager. I mean, JR has a hard time with this too, folks. And they have this bar fight. And I got to say, it's actually probably one of the best fucking things out of this whole match. Again, it's not a fucking match, Elvis. It was a fucking shit show. But again, Page's, fighting sequence, taking bumps, selling. This guy's amazing, dude. This guy's great. I just don't know why the fuck he allows himself to be this close to the elite, to this horse shit. He's got a fucking championship and the rest of them don't, and it's because he's the only one that is taking his fucking character and his career serious. So there you have it. That's my take on the show. It wasn't a good one. What did you fucking expect? And look, if there's anybody right now saying, oh, you just are an AEW fucking hater. You just sucking that WWE dick. No, motherfucker. Did you not listen to the fucking first half of the show? I shit on WWE. I shit on both companies. At this moment, both companies aren't giving us good quality fucking TV. They're not. So if you're looking for an alternative to professional wrestling, you want something else other than AEW, other than the WWE guys, please go back on the network and watch something from the past like I've been doing, like most of you out there have been. I mean, that's what you got to do if you want some good stuff, because it ain't happening now in 2020. And you would have thought with AEW, with all this new talent coming out, that the wrestling would be great. That all this shit that the marks say that it's the best fucking time. And I say that there's a boom coming. There's a fucking boom still coming. But when you're giving us shit like this, I have my doubts. We all have our doubts. But again, guys, if you want something else to watch, check out MLW Wrestling and NWA Power. Both shows are available for free on YouTube on a weekly basis, guys. That is definitely an alternative to these two promotions, guys. Let's get into it. Your guys' favorite part of the show, performers and floppers of the week. This is where I give you guys my MVPs and those that just didn't do it for me this week. Let's start off with my MVP of the week. My MVP, actually, for the past 2 weeks, since we did miss last week's MVPs, let's go with Charlotte Flair. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Charlotte Flair. You want to fucking at me? You want to fight me? Bring it. But I'm Charlotte Flair. I mean, look, Charlotte has been the constant professional. She truly has. And every week that she comes out, and I know most of you guys change the channel or decide to look away because of Charlotte, is the only one that I believe in right now on the women's side and even some of the men. You know, right now I put Charlotte, you know, next to a Randy Orton, next to a Daniel Bryan. These are the talent that are coming out still and perfecting their craft and being consistent about it. Their urgency in the ring, their how important their character means. You know what I mean? They don't flinch at anything. I love it. The presentation of Charlotte is great. Right now, she's getting a push. Everyone's saying that she's getting shoved down our throats now with Becky gone. Who the fuck else are you going to push? I mean, seriously. Who the fuck else is there to fucking take the reins right now? She's the superstar in that roster. Even if Becky Lynch is on the show, Charlotte is still the top player in the women's division. So that's my MVP. Charlotte, love her, man. She's fucking amazing. And flopper of the week, guys. It's no surprise that it was AEW's Double or Nothing. The entire show was just one big flop for me, guys. I gave you guys my review on it, so I'm not gonna harp in more on what I thought about the show. That is my MVPs and floppers for the week, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me on another episode of Speaking Wrestling, guys. And I hope to do it again next week, guys. So you guys stay out there, be safe, or not, because again, it doesn't fucking matter anymore. New stories in the headline, so take it for what it is. Get in contact with us over on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle, Instagram at Speaking Wrestling, email speakingwrestling@gmail.com, guys. Good night, Australia. We'll do it again next week. Bye-bye.